Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and for 400 episodes I've introduced myself to you. Well, today the WNR400 is about every listener, subscriber, follower, or member of the WNR family. For 7 years we've had many highs and a few lows, but it's been a pleasure doing this every week. And with me for this very special show, up first, it's the man who's been on more WNR podcasts than me this year. It is Monty. How you doing?
It's only right. It's only right that I'm here on this humongous. I was trying to say momentous, but I couldn't get it out. That's what happens when you try to use college words. This big occasion. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited. 400 episodes, man. Like I said, I told you this the last time I was here for a special anniversary edition type of show, and I'm going to say it again. Your work ethic, I commend you. This is a lot, and I'm happy to be here, but 400 episodes, and then think about it. We just did the WNR Awards, you know what I mean? Had the Christmas special, so it's just been a lot of exciting things going on. So I'm happy to be back, and I'm ready to get into this, man. Let's have some fun.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. And up next, the woman who thinks Kenny Omega is overrated and Charlotte is the best in the world. I might have that the wrong way round, but it is indeed Jaxie. How you doing?
You're already pushing my temper and testing my patience, aren't you? Happy 400. Again, just like Monty, an honor to be joining you on this episode. I'm excited to get into things and just continue to do what we do best.
Without a doubt, it is a pleasure to have you on. And finally, extra special guest, and she might have picked Baker over Belair, but she's still welcome. It's Mrs. Ricky Stark. It's Gina. How you going?
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me on your special episode today.
Well, it is unbelievable to have you on here for the WNR 400. And like I said, hopefully today we can look back kind of retrospectively of everything that's happened in the past 400 episodes and, of course, the future as well. When the first thing we know is how people listen to the podcast has been, and without you guys, it is meaningless. But before we get on to that, just ask you guys first up, how was everybody's Christmas? Monty, how was your Christmas?
Just another day for me. You know, I relaxed, enjoyed the day with family, as everyone should. If you can, I hope that everyone has a chance to spend some time with everybody, their loved ones and all of that. But yeah, man, just another day, just relaxing, you know, doing what I usually do, but trying to see more of the family. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a good day, good night. Everything went well.
And Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, again, just really great spending time with family. Got to spend it with Gina, obviously, as well, who's my sister, joining us on the show today. So we had a lot of fun. Just, great to have some time off and actually be able to spend it with family,
Yeah, and it's weird you two haven't actually mentioned spending like Christmas at the Christmas cottage, which we did as well. Of course, that's one of your favourite memories as well, wasn't it?
It really was. It was a highlight.
See, that's
too much eggnog.
Yeah, Monty, I mean, you got wasted, Monty. I'm not going to go into details, but my God, what happened after we went on the air? It was terrible. And Gina, did you manage to handle Jaxie with her having to go at Charlotte every 5 minutes, or was Christmas acceptable?
I spent most of Christmas drunk, so everything was acceptable to me on that day. But it was nice to be with my sisters and my family. And yeah, just having a good few drinks, letting your hair down. So definitely nice.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas is always a fantastic time of year. And like I said, the response we have from the Christmas episode and the WNR Awards. And basically, like I said, for 7 years, the response that we get, either with emails. And right now it is time, because I've been promising shout-outs for so long. But I asked for suggestions for the WNR 400. And boy, did you guys deliver. Basically asked for anything that we've done in 400 episodes. And basically just let us know about it. And I'll try and come either from memory or we'll go into a bit of detail. So up first, we've got Joe Parker, who asked about the original intro. Now, guys, I haven't always been as great as I am with the podcast. First, I had my posh accent for a few episodes where you're not really sure. I mean, this is Gina. You understand when you kind of start doing your first couple of podcasts, you're not really sure, should you do yourself, should you, and I kind of chose to the, oh yes, hello and welcome to the WNR, which kind of didn't really work. Did you find any problems with that, Gina, or did you think, I'm just going to be myself?
No, I had to ask Jaxie to give me sort of, the all know about being on a podcast. I was so nervous. I didn't know whether to talk about myself and my views more, or just more talking just generally, because I didn't want, I didn't know if you had a certain goal with your podcast, and I didn't know whether you wanted certain people to be listening to it for certain reasons, or whether they wanted my actual opinion. So
she basically didn't know whether or not she was going to come on here and offend a shit ton of people, and didn't know whether or not to just take it and make everyone like her. And so I just told her to be herself.
It's not about making everyone like me. I just didn't want people not being happy with the podcast because I just slammed all of their favourites.
They're never happy. They are never happy with a podcast with certain things. But it's never the guest. It's usually just me. I stopped caring what people thought about 25 episodes in. I'm not going to lie. You can't take everything on. But
it don't take long.
Things. No, but like you said, Monty, you got your own show, and if you listen to every negative, I understand constructive criticism, but after a while, you just have to go, look, people are going to like it, or people are going to dislike it, and hopefully people that dislike it won't listen to it.
Right. And, the podcast is free, too, in my case, right? Until I'm for now, guy. The podcast is free. So, you got the right to cut it on, cut it off. So it was quickly I stopped doing it. I used to micromanage everything about my show, write down every little detail, try to be, and I still write a little bit, but now I just kind of, bullet points, go from memory and just be myself. Like, the show flows so much easier. My favorite podcasts when I got into this are like the conversation style podcast that you don't even really realize is a podcast, because like it has a show format, but you don't even notice it because it just feels like 2-3 people talking. So that's what I try to bring to my podcast. Just have a conversation, be myself, be free, just have fun. Because what's the point of doing it if I can't, be myself and have fun with it? So yeah, you just, like you said, you gotta keep, like, of course, you got to be mindful of the audience, but at the same time, when it comes to being who you are, having your opinions and all of that, that's the whole point of the show. We all have our individual opinions, and that's what makes us special, and that's what it's going to come across to people when they're listening to you. So, yeah, but I had learned that, like you said, it took time, just like you, John. You had to figure that out as you go. You had to figure it out.
I mean, I started with paper scripts because I weren't sure how to work it, and usually, and this is the thing, and I'm not going to defend Dan so early on, my former partner in crime as it was, but I used to just do a script of about 7,000 to 8,000 words, and I'd be like, there you go, we'll just read part and part. But when you think about even the changes, how I was doing a podcast was like, me and Dan used to just like, so we'd watch everything, like show him, and get his thoughts, and after a while you worry, oh, is that person just saying stuff that you're saying? And that's why I love the fact, especially with you two, coming on with Monty and Jaxie, and not having a script, me going through it and just getting your kind of, feedback and your thoughts and thinking, you're actually not alone. There are other people. I'm not forcing people to like certain things, and we all disagree sometimes on certain things, but I think that's what makes it such a pleasurable experience now,
Agreed.
And this is
that's what makes these shows great. You know what I'm saying? That difference of opinion, but also the common ground you can find in it. And like I said, just having a conversation where, things get touched on, entertaining, whether it's funny or not, whether it's serious, that's what makes these podcasts great, and that's what brings people back.
Well, this is the thing, and there's a lot of stuff from the early on days, and I'm laughing now because fan of The Flash, obviously everybody knows the DC show that's there now, and I got really into the intro theme because I always loved it, him introducing himself, kind of talking about it. So someone asked about the original intro theme, so I'm going to play it now quickly, just for that have not heard it in quite a while. My name is James Rowlands, and I am a lifelong wrestling fan. In 2015, I started a podcast with my friend Dan White, reviewing the WWE Network and seeing if it's worth the $9.99 a month. It was. And since then, every month we watch the latest WWE pay-per-views, NXT, and now 205 Live. Still continuing our journey through the network, watching ECW, WCW, and all its classic content. Until we've watched it all, we are with you, and we are the WNR. I just like the fact I didn't take myself too seriously early on. You know, otherwise it would have been a real problem. But again, you know, this is the things you learn. And it's about the kind of seriousness as well. And you take the subject matter serious, but don't take yourself too seriously. I think that's what I found with that. And a lot of...
You know?
Sorry?
It's kind of like trial and error. Like, you know, you always have to go through trying something. And some things aren't going to work. But in order to get to the place that you want, you need to go through different errors to figure out what works for you.
I think without a doubt. So what I'm going to try and do now is come up with a new intro for that music about where we are right at this moment. I've not practiced this. So this may be the biggest pile of shit going. But hey, everybody listening, like Monty said, it's for free. It's for free. It's fine. So this could be awful, but we're going to try it now. And God damn it, let's see how I get on. Lights.
Let's go.
Action. My name is James Rowlands, and in 2015 I started the WNR podcast with Dwayne, Jared, and finally Dan, joining me on this epic quest. Today, with more wrestling knowledge than any before, the WNR consisted of Monty Jaxie with help from the Ultra One, and of course, Genius Gina. Until we've reviewed everything, we are with you, and we are the WNR.
That was great. Yay.
I apologise.
I love that.
I need an applause button.
I definitely am going to vote for myself to be the Cisco of the group that comes up with the thing, like the villain names and everything like that, and is the comedian factor, because that is definitely me.
Well, I apologise. There's going to be a lot of that, I think.
Genius Gina.
Well,
I like that.
It's like nice. It's like nice. You know.
Yeah, I like that. It makes me sound more intelligent.
Mysterious Monty.
Mysterious Monty. But that's the way it is. We are, like we said, a team here. And basically, we're going to look at a lot of emails, like we said, and suggestions for people. So, like Stephen Parton said, one of my favourite things is the news that you cover. So, let's have a look at news. So, we've got a couple of news stories to get on with. And I've not picked these for any reason whatsoever. But the first story is WWE are reportedly focused on looks for more female signings. They've altered their hiring policies, and they're basically looking for women who've kind of got a better look than most other. Basically, you've got to be good looking, and they prefer blondes. Jaxie, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if you can see this right now, but my eyes could not be rolling so much more to the back of my head ever right now than they are right now. Like Vince McMahon does these sorts of things. He calls out this sort of stuff because he just actually wants to get on my nerves. He just really wants to get under my skin. The man is mad. If he actually thinks that is the way to getting becoming like a greater promotion than other different promotions out there, he's insane. Because that to me just shows how superficial that wrestling company has become, and it starts to make me lose faith in what the company can actually bring in the future of WWE. I think he's just starting to add a lot of damage to his company's reputation in a way that it might not survive over the next few coming years, especially with other promotions actually gaining a lot more momentum. And this isn't just with regards to discussing AEW. That's why I say other promotions, because there are a lot more other promotions that we've covered and spoken about this year that are great, gaining a lot more traction, a lot more fans. And this is another way to just keep pushing those people towards those promotions, because this is just some bullshit right here.
Does anybody, Monty, do you want to disagree?
Do I want to disagree?
Do you even want to try? I agree on that one. All I did was change truth. You know, I'm just chatting.
Okay, all right. I'll be honest with you. When I first read this, I was like, they mean look like Ivy Nile or like Jay Cargill, right? They mean that type of looks. And no, they didn't mean that. They didn't mean that whatsoever.
This is the
Uh,
man that we're talking about. We all know what type of look he was talking about.
oh goodness. Okay, well, at this point, I'm not. I mean, are we really even surprised? But I do wonder this: like, if you're a woman on the roster or who've been signed over the last 5 years, do you not take this as a diss?
Pretty
Are you?
much. I mean,
Well, have you not been looking at? Have you? You didn't take looks into consideration the last 5 years? I just don't feel like they've never not taken looks into consideration. That's all. Like that, like acting like that. This is a new focus. It's funny to me because I think this has always been part of it. I mean, it wasn't as egregious over the last 10 years but like the beginning of this decade, you go back to the early 2010s, the Eve Torres era. No offense to any of those ladies, but that's when John Laurinaitis was targeting beautiful women. So I don't think that ever really changed.
yeah.
If you see
That's
what
why
I'm
we got a diva. That's why we got the Divas Championship and not like
saying.
the women's title, because it just turned into like essentially a show with models. And I think that a lot of the women in WWE have worked so hard over the past few years, especially since 2018, to kind of solidify like how legitimate women's wrestling can be again. You've got certain wrestlers out there that just really should ultimately command the respect of the ring, and those being the likes of Oscar, Beth Phoenix, Sasha Banks, even Bayley, like all these different female wrestlers that have solidified that they're not divas, that they are in fact female wrestlers. And yet it's almost like we're just kind of solidifying here that WWE as a company are still living in the dark ages where like it is predominantly about looks matter. I mean, if that's the way that they're going, then that's what I mean about their company not progressing anywhere in a positive manner in the future to come. All they're going to be doing is probably losing out on viewership if they literally know that these women have been hired just for their looks, not because if they have a passion for wrestling or have any idea as to what to do in the ring. You're just basically telling us you're looking for a bunch of Eva Maries again. And if that's the case, I'm really sorry to actually use Eva Marie as an example, but that is the perfect example of a waste of a slot on the female roster for God knows how many years. And what did she accomplish? And it's like, it could be down to like WWE booking as well with the way that they booked her and everything like that. But from seeing when she first came into the business, from seeing her return even till now, it doesn't seem like there was any progression over the years of her honing her skill as a wrestler. So we're just going to continue. You're basically just telling us you're going to continue looking for women like that, are you? Because that's what's going to lose you fans. That's what's going to cost you viewership. If that's like the type of, you're getting rid of the likes of like Ember Moon and Nia Jax and other female wrestlers, and yet you're looking to hire more Eva Maries. No thanks, I'm out.
Well, it seems you're all right with it. I mean,
you asked my opinion.
Hey, you should have just saved that for reaction. You should have just saved that for reaction, bro. That would have been a great reaction topic, but that's real news.
That is real news. That is real news. I seem to remember last time Gina was on, we were talking about a Mexican drug cartel taking over professional wrestling. I'm pretty sure. So I was looking through the news, as you do, and I found a perfect story. Pro wrestler uses iron spike to stab referee in head in horrifying Texas video show.
Yeah.
Now, Monty, you're quite...
wow.
I say you're quite nearby. You've heard of this story, haven't you, Monty?
I'm quite nearby. Yes, I have definitely heard of this. It is absolutely as horrifying as it sounds. Right. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that other than this is... Well, yes, it was recent.
This occurred December 11th. This December 11th at the Christmas Star Wars event.
Is the referee okay?
Well, let's see. Lando Delelcho, a referee in a match that featured performer Devin Nicholson, who was paid $75 and supposed to be hit with a spike by Nicholson, included. This is what the referee told a local newspaper. He was then supposed to cut himself, the referee was, with a razor as part of a planned stunt, but the referee told he didn't blade hard enough to Nicholson's liking. Nicholson,
did it the real way.
Known as Hannibal or Blood Hunter,
Yeah.
there is a graphic video to be watched where he's basically
Very
on
graphic.
top of the referee, punching him, stabbing him with the iron spike. You can hear the referee screaming. He even puts him in a kind of like a sleeper hold, choking him out whilst he's stabbing him, as referees and other people are trying to get somebody gets off him. And he posted the referee on Twitter with the kind of the spike marks on top of his head as well, and saying he had a 300-man man on his back, and he thought he was actually going to die. Weirdly enough, the CEO of World Class Pro Wrestling, where it actually happened, says he will no longer be associated with Nicholson, weirdly enough. It was a horrifying attack. One of the things that's not been said, as Nicholson said, that it was because of the mask he was wearing, he had difficulty seeing what's happening in front of him. So that's his excuse. But I don't know if the authorities have actually gone any further or not. I mean, Gina, we'll ask you first. Is there any place for this in professional wrestling?
I mean, definitely not. There's clearly was not a great level of, them speaking with each other and having those discussions to if they wanted to go for an effect of him being stabbed, and as they do, cut their own heads with the little razor or something. It should have been looked into a lot more than that, because had that blade gone any deeper, that could have been a more life-threatening injury rather than having just the staples in the head. I think I get the brutality factor people want to bring in wrestling, but I haven't seen or heard anything of this before. You guys have just told me, but I can imagine that scene to be so horrifying to watch. And it's just hard because we do know that there have been accidents in the ring where wrestlers have lost their lives. We have seen loads of videos and stories about that. So I definitely would not want to see a referee getting stabbed in the head in any of the wrestling productions I watch.
Monty, how fucked up was it?
Yeah, it's just as fucked up as it sounds. Like I promise you, like that description of it is pretty much the best you can do without actually watching it. I don't recommend people watch traumatic stuff, and it can be borderline traumatic looking at it. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. I don't even really understand how you can explain how it got out of hand the way it did. I know things go crazy in wrestling. I know spots happen, but yeah, it was just on a whole nother level of just bad, and nobody wants any part of that. Nobody wants to see that. I don't even know. Yeah, like even if you are into like the death match scene and you really like watching stuff like that, nobody want to see senseless, like just brutal stuff like that. It was rough, and like I said, I wouldn't even recommend people seek it out. But yeah, it's just as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, it was really, really horrible, and hopefully, the police can actually do something about it as well. The guy's life, on the line. It kind of. We've seen New Jack do it in the past, and it was a certain thing taking liberties with wrestlers, but there was no need, especially when it's not even a wrestler and it's a referee. And we spoke about this when a fan got involved recently. The fact is that, there should be a line. Of course, this was crossed, and hopefully, gets work ever again in professional wrestling. But we do move on from that, and Dylan Black asked about Elephant or F1. Now, unfortunately, Elephant or F1 hasn't been played since Dan left, because that was basically who came up with the game. And it was as easy as it sounds. You had to make a noise and then guess if it was Elephant or F1. I'm not going to attempt to make a noise or an Elephant or an F1 car, because it would just go down games. But Monty, just wondering, can you make a sound of Elephant or an F1 car, maybe?
No, I can't make. I got nothing for you. Absolutely nothing. Like vroom. That's all I got for you. That's horrible. And I don't even know what to tell you about. I can't even begin. Hey, now that's
What
pretty
was
good.
that?
I have no
We
clue.
don't really watch F1. So
That scared the
probably
hell
wouldn't-
out of me.
But if you could guess from that sound if it was an elephant or an F1 car, what would you go for?
You
I'd
screaming
say
into
that
your
was the sound
arm or something?
you. I don't think
Neither.
it worked out in the way that you expected.
No, it never does. It really
Yeah.
never does. But
That's why the game died.
the game died with him. To be fair. Yeah, Dylan, why are you asking about this for? Why don't you go find Dan somewhere doing a podcast with someone else? I don't
Have
know.
to go find an elephant.
Yeah,
Or F1.
yeah, all that. You know, Lewis Hamilton's biggest fan, huh? We'll move on then. And Garrett Huckmouth, you've got to be careful of that, talked about dream debuts. Now, this was another segment we used to use, dream debuts. So I know we definitely did one with The Rock, because of course that was quite a famous one, and Chris Jericho as well. Is there any other famous debuts that we can think of at the top of our heads that would be worthwhile in the history of professional wrestling? Now, let me have a think about. So you've got obviously Undertaker, Brock,
Yeah.
Kurt Angle, maybe that'd be quite a good one. The Ringmaster.
I mean, I don't know if like this is just personal opinion, but could you say Aleister Black?
We could exactly. Aleister Black could be fine. Any debut on AEW now would be
instead of the Ringmaster. Can we just say Stone Cold?
Yeah, I mean,
Who
I'd
did the
actually
ring
even
promo?
say like, Aleister Black from NXT's debut, but then even Malachi Black's debut on AEW, like both of them were just like mesmerizing.
Yeah, I think that's the same.
I would have
Brian Danielson's debut.
Well, those, what we had this year, debuts, Cole and All Out was something else, I suppose.
I mean, the Undisputed Era in NXT, the Undisputed Era, or when Adam Cole first showed up in NXT, that was kind of a big moment. I remember when it happened.
Yeah, Cheap Shot and Drew McIntyre from behind. Cheap Shot.
Yeah.
That's
my
man
up with Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly.
Still not over it.
So bitter.
I know. It still annoys me to this day because I think Dan won a bonus point with it, which annoyed me even more. So, anyway, Joe Mama next. Not Joe Mama, Joe Mama. I hope
Joe
Mama. Joe Mama.
Samoa Joe.
I'm sorry, Joe. You probably had a lot of shit in your life, and you didn't email in to get more from me. But he asked. He said one of my favourite things you used to do was a segment called Pyro Making Wrestlers Jump. And yes, I did. My favourite thing was to go through the archives and find any fireworks that made wrestlers jump. There's not any that spring to my mind right now, but Winning Regal would be good. Eric Young used to pretend to be scared of it back in Impact, but I always like it when it goes off. I'm sure it's happened to RVD a couple of times, and Jeff Hardy as well. And then Jack Luffy said, remember when you used to do an actual network review? Well, yes, that's what the WNR used to do, the WWE network review, until WWE tried to shut us down. See, he tried to shut us down. But this got me thinking, actually, how we watch wrestling. Because, of course, the WWE Network is not the only thing I watch nowadays. There's a plethora of platforms that I'm going to go through. But first of all, quite interested. So, first up for you, what kind of streaming services and stuff do you watch to watch the wrestling? And what kind of companies is it? Is it different just a one? How do you watch it?
I mainly use Fight TV and YouTube, and I mainly just watch AEW now. I did used to have the WWE Network, but I kind of lost interest for it. So,
That's fine. That's fine. And like I said, with Fight TV, it's a subscription service, about £8 a month or something like that, isn't it, for Fight TV? So, especially with the AEW.
It actually works out cheaper. It's like $4.99 a month. So it kind of works out cheap.
And that's with Rampage, Dynamite, and all the AEW shows involved, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, Jackson, you've got the network as well, yeah?
I do. I did have Peacock, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if it's because we're here in the UK, but it just it buffers so much. I've had so much issues with it. I just stopped. I got rid of it.
Monty, you ride the cock, didn't you?
I don't call what I do riding it. I literally stream it though. But the cock definitely has tried to ride me because it is horrible when in the middle of live network specials. Like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Like, but not all the time. But like like I said, it's improving over here in America, in my opinion. I gotta give it props. It's not as bad as it may seem, but it's just inconsistent and it's nowhere near as good as it was when it was on the network. They obviously need to work on that. And I only really watch it for the specials in NXT UK. And then, of course, like Broken Skull Ranch, if depending on the guest or, if I'm bored and I got extra time, which is never these days, I would watch a WWE 24 or something on the network. But, yeah, really just for NXT UK so I can, of course, do our reviews, but also just because I like NXT UK. And right now I use YouTube TV. I got unlimited DVR cloud space. That's why I use them. So I get all the weekly stuff pretty much, like the Raws, the 2.0, the Dynamite, Rampage, SmackDown. I get all of it, and I DVR it. I rarely get a chance to catch anything throughout the week live, but I usually catch it the next morning or something like that. And, of course, New Japan World for all my New Japan content and the occasional strong episode. And then YouTube highlights for anything else, like anything else I can't catch, or if it's like some stuff. Like every now and then I use Fight TV maybe for a Ring of Honor thing or Honor Club, if it depending on the card. I none this year, but I have in the past. So it's been, it depends. It's a lot, like you said, so many different platforms now. Depending on the scenario, you could catch me on one or watching something off of it. But yeah, that's usually what I stream on for the most part.
Do you think, I mean, I'll ask you, Gina, with this, do you think WWE shot themselves on the foot by releasing Raw and SmackDown the kind of high 2-minute clip kind of the next day so people don't actually have to watch the episode? Because I find out with a lot of people, especially people email in, they go, well, what's the point of watching 3 hours when you can just watch, 10 minutes of clips?
I mean, I definitely agree, especially, I don't know, maybe with the younger generation, they'll just watch the clips because they won't have like the attention span to stay for like 3 hours when the content isn't exactly that enticing. But I do think that they've shot themselves in the foot trying by putting them on these other platforms, because I just feel like it feels like more advertisement, longer breaks. It cuts out more content than what we're even getting within that time. So I definitely think they've shot themselves in the foot in terms of how they've gone about moving them across.
It seems a bit weird. I mean, because the amount of stuff that I have to stream, it's unbelievable. I actually made a list of things that is there. And first off, well, out of 5, the top 5 basically. Number 5 is New Japan Pro Wrestling World. I want to get your thoughts on this, Monty. For me, it's a poor design. There's a wait for English content. You can't go out and then back into a program. So if you've already watched, it's like Wrestle Kingdom's a 3-hour show. You've watched 2 hours, you go out, and then you have to fast forward 2 hours again. And the time and the fast forward feature is actually off. So you don't even know if you're the right amount of time until you paused it. And there's a voice lag sometimes as well. And, of course, there's no app on the tablet if you want to watch it. Monty, have you found it less aggravating than I have?
Yeah, only because when I use it, it's either I've used it in the past on my computer, or if you're a gamer like me, I watch it on my Xbox, which has a Microsoft like Office, like web browser on the game. So if you go straight and you use the New Japan World, from my experience on the Xbox, I've been able to control it much easier, honestly. I know what you're talking about, especially on certain apps, depending on what you're using. It can be a bother, but I don't know. Maybe I just gotten used to it over the years. It still is, like you said, it's little problems with it. I don't watch anything live, so the English delay don't bother me. By the time I catch it, the delay is out anyway, so that doesn't bother me anyway. Unless it's Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom, the only thing I watch live, and I don't need English commentary for Wrestle Kingdom. I'm yelling. I don't care what the announcers say. I'm watching the matches I'm screaming louder than them most of the time anyway. So that doesn't bother me when I'm watching live shows. But I can, like I said, it is a bother. Even the time difference, especially for Americans over here, and I'm pretty sure it's the same way for you guys. Like the time difference of when their shows are live, it's almost impossible to actually catch something live unless you plan for it and make sure that you're going to be up, especially for my time zone. So it's definitely little problems that I can see that probably is one of the main reasons that stops New Japan from expanding in some ways. But I don't know. I found a nice little workaround, and I've been spamming it, so I don't have the consistent issue that you do.
This is the thing. I try and watch everything on a Fire Stick, and sometimes that can be a little bit temperamental. Now, for number 4,
I know exactly what you're talking about with the Fire Stick.
Yeah,
the Fire Stick app is trash. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
It is quite bad sometimes. Number 4 is BT Sport. Of course, got the app for that for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Sometimes for Raw and SmackDown, you get to catch up with no adverts. Sometimes they can't be bothered if there's more important events. I don't know, like the Ashes at the moment. NXT, you have to fast forward during the ad breaks. And sometimes when you've got your head in your hands, you just can't fast forward enough in time. Doesn't show picture-in-picture, which can be a little bit of an annoyance. Number 3, Fight TV for me. The AEW and the pay-per-view. The AEW, the Dynamites and stuff, picture-in-picture is a whole new thing for me. It's because we're getting more. I mean, Jackson, you've noticed this. It's like for a Dynamite, we'll get probably an hour and 45 minutes rather than the kind of hour and 20 we do on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I actually prefer it like that. I'm not going to lie. It makes my attention span more sticking with watching the screen rather than trying to go here, there, and everywhere, especially when it's during matches such as there was a great moment in the Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki match that took place, and a picture-in-picture came up. And I am so glad I didn't look away because there were some great moments in there. And those are moments that us as TV viewers would not necessarily get to see. So that would be limited to the house viewers actually being able to getting a chance to see those great spots. And so I just think it works better for both ways. Like you still get your advertisements can be happy and all yay, but we still get to see the content of a live wrestling match. It's much easier back in the day when it was all pre-recorded. They could, take into consideration, okay, so let's pause, here and then like replay from when the ad is over. But from live TV, like this is what they probably should do a lot more often in order for us to actually feel like we're still able to be inclusive within like the whole match itself, especially when one is enjoying that match.
Yeah, the other thing about Fight that I didn't like was the Impact pay-per-views you can't keep forever. The AEW ones you can. And Gina asked you, if AEW were to come up with a subscription service where you could just watch Dynamite, Rampages, and the pay-per-views after, would you get that over Fight TV? Was there anything else you use Fight for?
It would mainly be just for AEW, so I probably would switch to whatever platform that they sort of put it on. But I enjoyed the fact of being able to have access to other things on there. I just haven't really bothered to check anything else out.
That's why, like I said, there is stuff, especially if you don't select what you want and you just get so many like celebrity boxing. You go, well, no, give me Dynamite. And I think that's another frustration of you haven't kind of got a homepage where you can select, oh, here's my Dynamites, here's my Rampage. You have to kind of go through what's on demand. And then it's there.
Yeah.
I just want it. I'm so lazy. I want to turn the TV on, press one button and watch Dynamite. That's all I want. Leading me to the WWE Network 2. One of the things that really got my nerves was trying to watch NXTs, and then when Vic Joseph goes, oh, it's picture-in-picture, and they just cut it out. We don't actually see the picture-in-picture, so it never ever actually existed on WWE Network. And the severe lack of new content, except for maybe the bump. Of course, you can select the matches from the shows, which is really handy. You've got NXT UK, the old pay-per-views. But the new content, there was a mass firing behind the scenes of WWE Network about 6 months ago. But Monty, do you think the network that was one of the positives from it, the fact that we were getting these documentaries and like W24s every week, so it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, that was one of the major positives, one of the reasons why it had any staying power that it had, other than old pay-per-views, like for nostalgia purposes, and, wanting to check out maybe the Attitude Era or eras, of course, other eras of the past. It didn't really have any other value without that original content. That they, like you said, WW24, I could put that documentary series or just getting that backstage. You can put that up with anything, because there's no other company really that before that ever gave you that type of viewpoint of behind the curtain. And so that show has always been great. But we don't get enough of them. Same thing with even Broken Skull. That's probably one of the most frequent, like you said. But then we have to deal with stuff like the bump, which is I guess all right, but I don't really spend my time checking for the bump. No. They had many different options. They used to have these countdowns, all types of old content in the vault that I know they still used to show. But like the network, when it was actually pretty good, had all types of content, even content that we didn't ask for, like that prank show that they had the wrestlers doing. Like,
Swerve.
Yeah, even Swerve. Like, even content nobody even asked for, they had. So, but now it's like you said, it's a ghost town.
The On the Road, like the On the Road one. Was it right? Like, when
those ride along or whatever.
Ride
along table for free.
Table for three.
Yeah, that used to be a good one as well.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
All the good ones are pretty much gone at this point, and you just deal with either specials. You have the bump, and then you have these sporadic, specials every now and then. But yeah, it's like a ghost town now, man. I get it, like you said, with the firings, but yeah, it's definitely, it deserves to be a tab on another streaming service. Like, I can see why it's Peacock now. It's not its own service anymore, because it barely is worth. Like, the fact that I miss the WWE Network, but what the network is now, it probably don't need to be called that anymore, because they're obviously not going to be producing that much original content at the rate they used to.
No, I mean, the Icon season that they started, they've postponed that as well, so it'll be interesting to see what they did. Why they never did another Legends House, I'll never know, because that's probably one of my favourite network shows that I've ever watched as well. And especially if you go back and watch it now, and you look at the talent, like Roddy Piper and Mean Gene, and Pat Patson, and basically everybody. It break your heart, if you want to cheer yourself up over Christmas. But the best streaming subscription for me personally, like I said, I spend money on the network, spend money on Fight TV, on NJPW, BT Sport. But the number one is actually something that is free to use. And it's definitely in the UK. It's unbelievable. That is Impact Streaming Service. 24-hour stream, so you just go straight on there and it will stream whatever event is in the archives. You don't need a subscription to watch any of the latest Impacts or the Impact specials. Yeah, that's right. You don't need to even subscribe. Just download the app, go in there and select the Impact, all the specials. And like I said, there's 4-5 pay-per-view best of Impact specials which are on there as well. You can go in and out of programs, you can resume, fast forward function is fine. Even little tricks like you watch it on your Fire Stick, it brings up adverts. Switch to your tablet, it doesn't show it. So you can watch it advert free if you watch it on your tablet or your iPad and whatever else that is. And you don't actually spend any money. And even so, when they brought Mickie James and Christian back, they give you a little free section of best Mickie James matches and best Christian matches as well. And you can pay your extra for well and watch all the old classic, TNA pay-per-view events as well that they've got with, inside the Impact Zone as well. So for me, it's really, really worthwhile to go check that out. And I don't think for me, I don't think a lot of people know. Did anybody here know that Impact was actually just free?
I know.
I didn't. I definitely didn't.
No, me neither.
So it's just there. Like I say, you don't have to spend, because this is the thing with wrestling fan, you have to watch your pocket as well, especially with pay-per-views, and that's why I think with AEW it's good that there's not monthly shows, and of course with the network, with Day One and programs like that coming up, and I think Impact kind of sorted it out. But it's interesting to look back into it and all the streaming services and kind of what they offer, see if they can improve. as well. But we go back to shout-outs, and Jay O'Brien talked about WWE versus WCW. And this was something that we did on a podcast, 1996 to 1999 we followed, basically until WCW got shit. Is there anything, I'll start with you, Gina, during the Monday Night Wars, what kind of memory or what can you think of that's probably your favourite moment during the Attitude Era?
The Attitude Era, there's so many things to choose from. But the first thing that I can think of is Stone Cold Steve Austin and Booker T fighting in a supermarket.
That was this time of year as well, about 20 years ago, actually. So that's a classic moment.
Yeah, that moment was just so brilliant. I don't even remember how old I was, but I was still a kid around that age, at that point, I think. And I had no idea what was truly going on. I kept thinking to myself, why are they not in a ring fighting? Why are they in the supermarket? But it was just so awesome because it wasn't something you saw every day. So, yeah.
You know, thinking about that 20 years since the invasion angle, is that, Jaxie, for you, is this the most botched storyline in history? You had money in the bank, literally, with WWE versus WCW.
I mean,
it's got to be.
You kind of got, it's got to be, hasn't it, really? I mean, this was like sort of moment where like everything was still, as we call it, Attitude Era. So there was a lot of extremities you definitely would not see, pass through now. But they were just, there was something that was a lot more, what's the right word? Improvised about the Attitude Era that just kind of gave it that continuous element of surprise that you just never knew what to expect. And I think that element during that time just kind of worked so well with the move as well, with WCW as well, just crossing over. It just all played into the bigger factor that just won everyone over. Plus, you had such lovable wrestlers that probably should even be seen as heels, but you just couldn't help but love them. And those, Booker T and Stone Cold's feud was one of the highlights of that era for sure. That I could even think of like the whole shtick with Kurt Angle and Stone Cold as well. That was just really entertaining. I'll never get over the Kurt Angle bringing out a milk truck.
The milk truck was the best.
There were so many moments you think about, and I think this is the problem with AEW and WWE, or AEW fans now, is they want a kind of war, and they want it to be the same, and it's not the same, and because of how different it was. And even looking back at WCW and thinking they were beating WWE every week, millions upon millions of fans watching it during that time. And obviously we can hope for again, and hopefully there is going to be a moment that kind of sparks, I'm not going to say a war, but just kind of like, another golden generation. Because I think people, too many times we look back at the Attitude Era and go, oh, I wish it was like the Attitude Era. And like you said, the perfect thing is, no, we just want to watch a wrestling show when we're not sure what's going to happen. Each time, each minute, each hour. Oh, this wasn't meant to happen, and this is what made Dynamite so good this year is kind of got that feeling back of, oh right, we're not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's definite examples you can pull from sort of modern era now that show that Dynamite is a perfect example of showing where they aren't afraid to be like, okay, well, this didn't go to exactly as planned, but we've got, we're going to get this out of it. And they take us through like a new storyline, a new process, and show us how they're working around it. I think like is different to the Attitude Era, but at the same time, we still get so many new different surprises that like pop up on AEW Dynamite. And I think that's what makes it work, and that's what makes people actually think back to the Attitude Era, back to the Monday Night Wars, because we did just kind of go through and experience the Wednesday Night Wars, and the AEW came out on top.
Well, that's exciting to see if history will repeat itself or what the future does hold, and it was good looking back at 20 years back then to see WWE and WCW, because WCW were really, really good as well. That's part of the reason to go back. 96 and 97. But move on with this, and we've got Ethan Leica.
Time that Goldberg is actually relevant and you'd actually like him. Like, if you want to go back and appreciate what Goldberg did bring to wrestling, go back then. Don't look at any of the stuff like after Attitude Era times.
Well, that's going to come up for a reaction. So we've got Ethan Leica up next, talking about superstar profiles. Now, this was something that I went into depth, and I think it's one of the reasons why Jared left originally, because I decided to do a trilogy. Actually ended up being 4 podcasts of The Undertaker, looking at his 30-year career. Other superstar profiles, Randy Orton, CM Punk. My favourite one personally was Nigel McGuinness, because I don't think a lot of people know a lot of Nigel's work. So, Monty, if you could pick a superstar that we'd have a podcast about, who would you pick?
Let's see. That's tough, man. There's so many to choose from. So it can be past or present, huh?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I'm assuming.
Because the thing is
okay,
like,
so
to do, I thought about a Rock or a Stone Cold Steve Austin one. I thought, well, no, like Mankind, that would be like 2 or 3 shows, but it's always difficult to try and pick a guy you think's worthwhile.
Yeah, it really is, because it's like you can choose from so many, and then you got some people whose arcs or time in the business is shorter than others. I know, like, it's currently, I know I would like to see a discussion about, not only Bobby Lashley's journey, but just like people like Bobby Lashley, people like Cesaro, people, even Batista's run. Batista's run kind of goes under the radar, in my opinion. And, it's because of it was like one of those guys who I thought was really, really popular, really liked. But he had his ups and downs, but, it's kind of glossed over because he's such a big star now. But I don't think people really talk about what he brought, because he was just as, like, I don't think people in the mid-2000s viewed him much worse than John Cena. He wasn't the face like John Cena of WWE, but he was just as big as a name like Randy Orton, as a name like John Cena. So, and CM Punk, he was right in that era with those guys, and he's a star on another level now. But like, I think that'll be a great profile. Somebody like Dave Bautista, and just a lot of those guys that I grew up kind of watching. Even Umaga, who wasn't here, didn't get a chance to enjoy a long run, but it'll be still an interesting show just to talk about his journey from the superhero and training. The 4-minute warning days all the way to Umaga, stuff like that. And even before that, like, it's all types of interesting shows, because I like obscure, like, not even just the most popular guys. Like, I was into like everyone growing up. So I can enjoy a good podcast about a lot of greats. That's why I can keep going forever, man.
But this was interesting because, there is so many to pick from. If you had a superstar profile, Gina, who would you pick as a superstar to look at?
Sorry, say again?
Who would be your superstar profile? What wrestler would you dedicate a podcast to looking at their career?
I'm really sorry to say, I'm just going to sound thirsty. Ricky Starks, just so I can find out more about him.
Of course.
Well done.
Now, y'all just listen to me mark out for 3 minutes.
Honest. I'm going to be honest.
I just marked out for 3 minutes, and we get to a lustful pick.
Jaxie's it Roman Reigns?
No, there's always got to be one. There's always got to be one,
You're welcome.
I think for me, I would that there are so many great wrestlers that we could actually choose from. But if I'm thinking about off the top of my head, like real quick right now, I'd love to, kind of get under the sort of like get really deep into the past of Shinsuke Nakamura, or the likes of even other wrestlers, such as like looking into the background of like lucha wrestling, whether or not that's like kind of doing a profile on like the Lucha Brothers, or even Andrade. Could go back to kind of looking at early Rey Mysterio, because I think that he, definitely became a much bigger star joining WWE. But what about what he accomplished before WWE? Certain things like that. I really love looking at heritage and things like that, and what that can bring to a wrestler's character as well. I would even love to dive into the psyche of everything Alistair / Malachi Black. So I would love to just go into a deep, sort of dark place, investigating sort of, Alistair Black or Malachi Black and his sort of coming from the Netherlands and how that sort of like depicted into his character changes and things like that. So that would be where I'd be coming from.
I know, like I said, it's really, really interesting picks, and it's even like when we did Winning Regal and found out that he faced British Bulldog on a WCW pay-per-view night 3. It's only like a 10 or 15-minute match. You think, well, these two guys actually faced off. It'd be interesting to see the history there. And with Ricky Starks, we'd probably be able to cover his career in about 20 minutes. So that wouldn't be soon.
Yeah, that's
matches he had. You know, how many times? But anyway,
yeah. It's funny. She said Ricky Starks used to be a short cast, and Rey Mysterio
I mean,
would be
that
a
would
long
be the
series.
funnest 20 minutes of my life.
You would no. To be fair, that's an excellent point. I'm just trying to get ready because up next, Jess Spinelli has asked about games or masturbates, and we're going to play a new game, and it was a massive hit on the Christmas show. We weren't sure if it was going to work. And it did, Jaxie. The game works, doesn't it? It does.
No, it doesn't.
So basically, it's called Reaction. You get 2 minutes and one subject. If someone reacts, you get a point. If they stop the argument, much like Jaxie did the other day, you'll get 10 points straight up. So it is about how many points you can get. So basically, coming up with the worst subject that you know is going to get reaction. All right? So I'll go first. Has everybody got... Jaxie and Monty, you had time to prepare for this. And Monty, I'm sure you've got a couple of crackers.
Yeah, I got a couple. I don't know if I'm hoping I can get y'all early because I don't have a lot to support a lot of my bullshit. So I hope the initial shock will make someone say something.
Right. Well, we're going to show Gina first.
I feel like
basically.
I've lost this game already.
So we're going to show Gina first how to play it, just in case she's not sure. I've not explained it. So we've got 2 minutes on the clock. I'm going to come up with a subject and see if I can get a reaction. All right? So we'll start the 2 minutes, and my subject is Ricky Starks sucks. That's it. That's the reaction subject. Why is he so bad? Well, if it's not his terrible commentary, it's him being an awful wrestler. I mean, he is the worst wrestler. I mean, who would even ask to look at a superstar profile about this guy's career? You know,
I think this
hang
is
on,
all
who's
bullshit.
that?
You couldn't even hold it. No.
That was pretty
Wasn't
easy.
having any of it. Yeah.
I couldn't sit through it.
So that's stopping the argument. So that's 10 points. You see, that's nice and easy. 22 seconds on the clock there, boys and girls. That's what we got to look at.
That's a record. That is a record.
It's a new record. So
Sorry.
no, that's fine. It's fine. You get worried. You get worried after 20 seconds. You think no one's reacted yet. It's like no one's. Am I doing it right? Monty, you're up then. So try and get reaction from us. Whenever you're ready, tell me your subject, and I'll start 2 minutes.
All right. My subject is AEW is overrated. They are only looked at as good because of the downfalls of WWE. If it wasn't for the intense hate that fans and most people have for a lot of the mistakes, or however you look at it, moves that WWE has made, AEW would not be as highly rated or as highly hyped up as they are. They play to the fans, the marks on the internet, and that is why they get a lot of the favorable, articles, all types of attention from the wrestling media. They get overplayed, forced down the consumer's throat, to make you like this because it's in our alternative. It has no other value other than being a different wrestling show than
Oh
WWE.
God, I lit.
Hang on.
I kept it going. I knew I know you can only take that so long.
I honestly just like, I think it's just because I more want to laugh because I know that you don't even believe with that own bullshit that you're trying. So I'm like, I'm saving you from yourself.
So glad she's saying
I'm sacrificing myself and taking the point. I'm taking the hit because that's bullshit, and I know that you don't even believe half that shit you just said.
Stopping the argument.
I knew they couldn't go long. They couldn't go 2 minutes listening to that. I knew it.
Well played, Monty.
I didn't want to keep hearing like this bullshit that you clearly know you don't believe in either. So I was saving Monty. You're welcome.
All right, so,
thank you.
Jaxie, are you ready for yours?
Well, like, see, I had one in mind, right? But I believe that you guys are going to agree with me on this statement. So you're just going to leave me talking for 2 minutes, and I don't really know if everyone wants to really hear me discuss something like this of this subject for 2 minutes straight.
If no one's coming for a minute, I'll give you a point to stop it if it gets too bad.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes, okay. So my subject is Charlotte Flair is overrated. She is overrated in so many ways that it's gotten to a point where she's kind of like bored of her own character now. You can kind of tell she's rebelling against like even WWE officials. She doesn't really care for it, and it's because she's done everything. And you know why? Because WWE just hand everything to her on a plate. So even when she does actually have good matches and decent matches, it is all irrelevant. It all doesn't mean shit because like it's just something else that was handed to her. She just really should leave the company and try and make herself somewhere else in a different company and actually solidify herself in a place that doesn't actually revolve around her dad.
But you don't believe that, though, do you? You don't actually believe that.
I was actually thinking that you might end up stopping me because you tend to end up like, you know, defending Charlotte whenever I have an issue with one of her matches, and you didn't. And this is why I didn't want to do this stuff.
I just interrupted then.
I'm just going to speak up and say,
He
gave you a point.
I was like,
yeah, I'm getting a point, so I don't care.
Well, it was 1:28, and you got 2 points there, Jaxie. So well played, I suppose. But I know you don't really believe that. I know you don't believe that. Right.
I do believe that 100%.
Oh my goodness. Well, come on, man. I held my tongue then because it's part of the game, but like, she not all right. She does.
Monty, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait. We've still got 30 seconds.
You're right.
I can leave
it alone.
Yeah, Monty, you don't get no right to voice your opinion because if you had an issue with it, then you should have said something during and broke it up, but you didn't. So you have to forever hold your peace now.
You're right. I'm gonna forever hold my peace.
They are the rules.
Yeah.
Right. So
she took
55 seconds for first person to involve there, Jaxie. You got 2 points. Monty got 10 points on 49 seconds. I got 22 seconds, but I will go again because that was like shooting fish in a barrel. But Gina, have you come up with the most controversial subjects, a subject that we will react to?
I don't know. I can give it a shot, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go for two whole minutes.
Look,
so you
as long as it's not Chris Benoit is innocent, you'll be fine. All right. So we're gonna get started.
That's completely fine.
Oh Lord, not innocent.
If it is, it's really awkward.
Oh gosh, no, I won't go with that. So don't worry.
Right, ready? I'll start the clock, and away you go.
Okay, so I think Cody Rhodes is the best wrestler there is right now in wrestling in terms of every wrestling company. I think the way that he's built himself up and built himself to be on this pedestal is working really well for him. I think the crowd are loving him. I can't even keep a straight face.
You just stopped yourself.
Did you get a pop
When you
for
were doing-
reacting to us?
Are you giving her points? You're giving her points.
Yeah,
No, that's funny.
like,
I
you
don't
doing
care.
well then. That was
I was trying to say it with a straight face, but I really couldn't keep it.
Well, we had
Anyone go to interject?
Thanks,
At
James.
least
well, no, that's to
Well,
be
I
fair.
was waiting to hear like your continuous points.
Well, you can continue. You have got 30 seconds left, and you have. Well, I'll go through the points at the end, but it might be important.
Okay, I think that he's obviously set a good family legacy going with wrestling now, and Brandy Rhodes is probably going to become the next women's champ. So they're going to be, power couple on top, like, the McMahons, but like 2.0.
How dare you say 2.0?
Is that the thing you're calling her out on? It's the 2.0 part. It's not even.
She did pretty good.
Wow.
This is really good for your first try.
I had to actually stop from intervening when you said that they were going to be like the next McMahon. So I was like, what?
Well, for a first start, that is excellent. A total of 4 points in the end for Gina there. Excellent stuff.
Nice. No.
Yeah, 4 points for reaction. And like I said, Jackson, 2 points. But I might be hoisted on my own petard. I'm going to start. I'll do another subject, and I'm going to try and get everybody involved in it. All right? I'm going to try and get reaction from all three of you. And I know what you're saying. It's pretty hard, but I'm going to try it. So,
Okay.
2 minutes. Is anybody worried what I'm going to say? Monty, you must be a little bit worried.
Yes, I'm very worried because I know how low you're willing to go.
Oh, this is
Just no Ricky Stark bashing, and I'll be okay.
Well, no, Gina, you said earlier if
No, we went wrong.
if you're worried about the podcast, and I'm just about to scrape the bottom of the barrel, so you don't worry about. I'm gonna go for lowest.
This is gonna be bad.
It is gonna be bad. So 2 minutes, and the subject is Hulk Hogan deserves a second chance. So, minutes. I did hear something there, but I weren't sure. Hulk Hogan deserves a second chance. Why is this? Well, just look at him, a complete legend in the business. There's no more synonymous with WrestleMania than Hulk Hogan, and many people argue that he and Vince McMahon built it from the ground up. And I think that'd be fair to say, you look at everything from WrestleMania 1 to 9, it is Hulk Hogan's main event streak. And then coming back at 18 to go against The Rock, absolutely legendary. Yes, he's had a couple of discretions, but who hasn't had these problems, I think... Whoa, stop.
Who hasn't had these problems?
No, I'm done. I'm done. I'll lose. I'm not listening to this bullshit anymore. I refuse.
Yeah,
we don't even need to retort. Like, you got that. I don't think that'll ever be beat.
Jesus, you managed.
That was me at the
really
beginning, by the way. I was done from the very beginning because I couldn't hold it back. Like, I tried. I was like, this son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I kind of thought I was prepared, and I definitely was not prepared for that.
Oh my god!
No,
bro.
I thought discretion would be the word.
That was right.
That would be. Wow. So that's me scraping the lowest of the line. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get worse than that. I really don't.
No. No.
I mean, Monty.
No, I think you can have the crown on that one.
I think so. Monty, Priest is not as good as Corbin. That wouldn't have got you, would it?
No, it wouldn't have. Because I know that's crap. Like, come on. All right, what about this? What about WWE Creative needs to start booking NXT UK? Come on, that would have got you.
You can fucking get off the train. Yeah.
They need to book it exactly like 2.0. We need NXT UK 2.0. I want unnecessary horny wrestlers. I want terrible length of matches, like squash matches galore. It's only an hour, and I want all 3 matches to be squashed.
No, that is. I'm gonna wake up in a cold sweat about that later. No, this episode. Go, no, it's fine. It's fine. Well, anyway, after that, back, and of course, I should say any news or comments made in reaction is just made for reactional purposes. Please don't send me hate mail thinking that
you should have disclaimed that before the last.
Yeah. Damn it! Listen to this 30 seconds. Anyway, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure a lot of people are still listening. We move on, and like I said, Kylie Cyrus, if that is your real name, asked about James versus Dan. Now, James versus Dan was a thing we did for many years. Every year, we would have a prediction league, and the prediction league we would split up. First with WWE, NXT and bonus points, and then eventually AEW. We'll find out who'd win each league through point system at the end of the year, and then all of a sudden, there you go, we'd have the winner. And again, it's not about who won more years than the other person, even though I beat Dan 4-2. It's not about that. It's about the kind of team spirit of all being together. And I can announce right now, in the new year, it will be return of the Prediction League. Now, we will have a look into it, whether it will be all the pay-per-views and the specials put together, or if we will separate NXT to WWE. But it means we'll have bonus points as well, so we can make wild bonus point suggestions and everything like that. What is everybody's thoughts? Monty's, what is your thought of doing a Prediction League and maybe the loser? Well, we did have forfeits for the loser. So 1 year I lost, and I wore Chris Benoit's Raw top to Raw at the O2. Weirdly enough, though, didn't get as many complaints as when Dan won Enzo Amore's top just after the couple of claims that he had against him. And we had an angry German man tapping him on his shoulder, going, yeah, you do know Enzo has been done for all this now, yeah? It's not acceptable. Which, one of the greatest moments that we've had. I said, I don't know why he's wearing it.
Oh my God, I would have loved that. I would have made him my best friend. I'd have been like, do you know what? Me and you both, do you know how offended I am right now by that t-shirt? And he's with me.
Yeah,
I would have made best friends with him.
We could forfeit. So if Gina was to lose, we could get a Ricky Stark sucks top that she would have to wear. You know, stuff like this that we can have a look at.
Oh my gosh, that would be my nightmare.
Or we could put a Kenny Omega is the GOAT t-shirt on you, Jay.
Well, if you want to be that, if you want to be that, yes. Dan drew the line at me trying to.
Go as far as to like. We could go as far as to like, giving you that
picture of Kenny Omega and is it Don Callis?
Oh Lord,
the picture.
Well, Dan drew the line at Nikki Bella. So I don't think cosplay is going to come. So if we ask Monty to dress up as Charlotte Flair, I don't think that's going to work.
Oh, what an ugly Charlotte that would be.
Well, at least Jackson will like you. That's one of the positives.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. I would actually find that hilarious.
So anyway, the return of the prediction.
Not a chance in hell, by the way.
Monty, you have been smashing it in recent times with AEW and NXT. Do you think the prediction league's a good idea?
Yes, I believe it's a good idea because I have high expectations that I will win. Keep this footage. Like, I want you guys to play it back when I do win or when I lose so I can look stupid. That is great content, James. I'm helping you out, content creator right here. You already know what I do. But I'm going to win. I'm on a lucky streak now. I don't want to jinx myself. But it takes a little bit of skill to be as good as I am at this point. So, yeah, I got high expectations going there. I think I'll be good. I think I'll be fine. You guys might as well get ready to do some dares or something. Got to get a little trash talk, add a little drama.
It'll show off that confidence.
We'll move on. We've got Stu Pot. Again, are these your real names? You're just making them up. And again, no offence, Stu. I mean, Mr. Pot. the year-end predictions. Now, this is very, very near and dear for my heart because we've got bonus predictions. And this marks up towards them. So at the start of the year, we're going to try it. So at the start of the year, or the end of the year as it was, I make a list of basically champions in all different promotions. You can have a little bit out of breath because I have to reach to get these awards. So these are year-end ones. So hopefully we can do it next year. But we're going to have a look right now exclusively at my ones. And basically it will be a point for every champion. Right, you can hear the envelope in the background. This is official stuff. So it'll make more sense once I start reading it, to be fair. So the year-end predictions. So WWE champion at the end of the year. So you can all laugh at me if you want. We'll tick them off with a right, tick them off with a rain. So last year I thought the WWE champion in this year would be Drew McIntyre. Not great, but still.
Man.
You say
whole
man.
Different show.
Right, you wait. It's a year. It's been a year. Universal champion. Universal champion Roman Reigns.
Oh, that was a safe bet.
I'm shocked. Yeah, we all knew that.
Last year,
Okay.
I'm going to get very defensive.
No, I definitely knew that Roman would be holding the belt for the rest of the year.
Fair enough. Intercontinental champion. Intercontinental champion. I put Kevin Owens.
Well.
Yeah. No. Well, listen.
Yeah,
US champion Damian Priest. Eh?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Have that.
Okay. Little skill. Little bit of skill there. Okay.
24/7 champion R-Truth. Forget about that. Would not.
I mean, I don't blame you there. Who else would you? Who else? Like, who else? Who's gonna say Dana?
I was going to say, who else would you have chosen?
Right. Who would have guessed Dana?
Well,
or Tamina?
I tell you, we're wrong. You're wrong, and a lot can change in a year. Women's tag team champions, I put the Iconics. We're not even in the company anymore. Shut up. It's not.
Well, I mean, that was way off.
I know you couldn't have known they were gonna be gone, but yeah, it's still funny to think about.
Could be playing violins over this part.
Well, I don't know what I was smoking when I put Cruiserweight champion Kurt Stallion. That's
also out of the company. Hey, but you did know it was gonna be Malcolm Bivens' someone he was managing, I guess. So,
Raw tag team champions Usos. I'm going to give myself half a point because they are SmackDown.
Yeah, you good. You fine. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
SmackDown tag team champions.
Yeah, I was going to say, give yourself half.
Yeah, I was going to give myself a point there. SmackDown tag team champions, the Street Profits. So, not them.
Not a bad guess.
Raw Women's Champion Charlotte. See, Charlotte is champion again.
Never a bad guess.
We're always going to have Charlotte as one of the two. Let's just face it, James. We were always going to put her there because guess what? She always gets handed the title.
Well, this is it. SmackDown Women's Champion Bianca Belair. So, unfortunately, that doesn't make the cut.
Yeah. Should have been, though. Don't feel bad.
That's real bit bittersweet right there because I would have probably put the same. So that's real bittersweet. You, Becky.
Oh, it's going to get worse now. So, NXT champion, I put Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
NXT, we just get this quick. We get it quickly out. NXT tag team champions MSK, NXT women's champion Candice LeRae, NXT North American champion Timothy Thatcher. That is all wrong.
Where is Timothy Thatcher? Someone put out a search party. What has happened to Tim Thatcher? Is he not there?
Is he not on NXT?
No, he's not been around for ages.
Forever.
Right. NXT UK champion Ilya Dragunov. You see, I know my stuff.
Okay.
I know my stuff. Really annoying. NXT UK tag team champions, pretty deadly. They were champions about 2 weeks ago.
That's up.
Mustache Mountain.
Yeah. That's
time for you.
NXT UK Women's Champion Piper Niven. At least she's not been released.
Well, yeah.
What the fuck was I thinking about AEW? The World Champion Kenny Omega. I don't know why I would go Omega. I knew Paige would win. Britt Baker as Women's Champion. Yeah, that is All right. TNT champion Orange Cassidy. And fucking hell, it shows how much
You saw him by the end of this year.
What?
You saw him winning, Orange Cassidy winning the TNT title by the end of this year.
Yeah.
That's an interesting pick.
Oh, thanks for saying it's shit. I mean, it's not.
I'm not, because that means that you're indicating that I'm saying Orange Cassidy is shit, and he's not. But I just don't know why that just came as a bit of a shock for me, that you would have thought he would have been the champion at the end of the year.
Well, this is who I've gone for the AEW Tag Team Champions, Private Party, which shows sometimes a year doesn't work out for people.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me.
I told y'all about Matt Hardy. I told you.
Impact.
Yeah, which is a shame because I love Private Party as well. They're really good.
Impact now. This is terrible.
Okay.
World champion Brian Myers.
Moose.
No, Brian Myers. I thought Myers would be champion. X Division champion Chris Bay, which he's not. It's Trey Miguel.
No.
Impact tag titles, the North, who are not even a team anymore. Impact Women is Tenille Dashwood, which again, she's working around the tag team division, and Fire Flavor, which aren't even a team anymore in Impact.
Yeah.
Shit. New Japan Pro Wrestling, the world champion. I've gone for Kota Ibushi.
Well.
Thanks.
Again, not a bad guess, though. Not a bad guess. You didn't know. Like, honestly, he could be in Okada's place fighting Shingo. He could be. We don't know if Okada was going to win the G1. So that's not a bad guess.
And then we've got, of course, we'll all be doing this for next year as well. Men's Rumble winner, I put Daniel Bryan. Women's Rumble winner, Bianca Belair. So at least that's right.
Okay, there we go. That's cool.
Final four men and final four women. I have no idea who the final four was, but I put Belair, Ripley, and Charlotte, and I'm pretty sure those three were hanging around there at that point. And then Undertaker's WrestleMania opponent, Hall of Fame, which didn't happen. Men's Money in the Bank, Sami Zayn, I wish. Women's Money in the Bank, Charlotte. Fucking hell. Surprise return, CM Punk.
Oh, hello.
Turn CM Punk does get the point for surprise.
You knew
return.
that last December?
That's what I put last December. I put CM Punk surprise return.
Wow.
Surprise wrestler.
Did you say
No, I didn't put.
Did you know he was
in August? I didn't. I just put he's going to come back.
No, I mean, like, no, like, did you put CM Punk is going to come to AEW?
I just put return. CM Punk is going to
WWE.
return. Give me the point, Jaxie.
He just knew he was coming back. It didn't matter where.
He didn't care where. He was just like, he's going to return.
Well, surprise wrestler leaving Nakamura, and that didn't happen. So you can see there. 3 Mania matches: Reigns v Bryan, Belair v Banks, and Orton versus The Fiend. Well, we chuck Edge in there, and I suppose that is nearly 3 of the Mania matches.
Yeah.
Will there be fans at WrestleMania? Yes. WrestleMania main event: Reigns versus Bryan. SummerSlam main event: Reigns versus McIntyre. Survivor Series main event: 5 on 5. And will WWE perform in UK this year? No, and they did. And 5
They did.
5 bonus predictions. Oh, for fuck's sake. McIntyre wins the WWE title, which didn't happen. Omega competes on New Japan, which didn't happen. Regal has a match, which didn't happen. Blake retires.
Oh, you mean his son? You mean his son?
Didn't happen. But Becky Lynch did return. So 1 out of 5
there you go.
there. So overall, not too bad. I wouldn't say too bad, you know?
Yeah. Better than I would have did, I believe.
Yeah, I think
I don't think
well.
I got great prediction skills.
Well, we will find
that far
out.
ahead.
I will email everybody this, and we can fill it out. And this time next year on the show, we can do this for the bonus predictions as well. So that'll be fun. And then we got asked by Susie Hernandez about the formation of the new team WNR. Now, it took a lot of work. I'm not going to lie, especially after Dan left. I'd like to thank Francis Wright, of course, Jared, Dan, and Dwayne that helped out. Graps of Raf, who will never do a podcast with me ever again. That was my first by myself, and you guys know how bad I am with technology. This guy lost his shit with me. We've got Simon and Chris from Select Match Pod. Select Match Pod, Jaxie, were nice guys. Simon and Chris as well.
They were. A special shout out to them. It was so much fun working with them.
Of course, the ultimate one on the Choke Slam report. We've got Gina with us now, who's been a part of this team. I've even had my mum, my sister, and the butler that we had for a while. It's not actually the butler. And, of course, Monty and Jaxie as well, which makes the team WNR, or the WNR team thing. It's just in really good shape at this moment in time, I would say. And Kelvin Singh asked, what does the future hold? Which is a very interesting question. Monty, at this time in your head, where are you with the team WNR? What are your thoughts towards it, looking ahead into 2022?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a history-making year as far as wrestling goes, and I think this is kind of like can be a history-making type of year for this podcast. You know, the way everything came together and the way, kind of being part of a team and knowing that, we all are knowledgeable and passionate about what we love to watch, which is wrestling, and just being able to come here and have these conversations, man, it's really cool to be a part of it. And I think the future is bright, and like I said, I think the future is bright for professional wrestling. Therefore, the future is even brighter for this show, because like the better the wrestling and the more invested in the show, shows that we all watch, I think the better the product comes. Because the better this product comes out. Like my favorite shows of ours, in my opinion, was when the Black and Gold brand of NXT was doing some of their best work, in my opinion. And we had fun with watching those shows. Therefore, we had fun reviewing it. And I think as no matter who's missing, who's here, every time when everyone comes together, it just flowed really well from the very first time we did this. So I'm just grateful to be a part of it. And like I said, next year, I think it's going to be even better and even more fun.
I think that's excellent, Monty. Lovely words there. Jaxie, what about you? What are your thoughts for what's upcoming?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for yet another year of WNR. It's been getting really exciting just to kind of reach that sort of 1 year marker myself with this podcast and just joining the team. And it's just been so much fun. It's just been a way to just sort of express a passion of mine that I don't necessarily get to kind of express anywhere else. So I've been having so much fun doing this, and I just look forward to kind of another creative year with hopefully a lot more to show, a lot more progression as goes with the content that we discussed. So, yeah.
And I would say, Gina, we've not put you off wrestling for life being on here, have we? you're still a fan.
No, I'm definitely still a fan. I suppose I would like to try and watch a bit more wrestling other than AEW next year if I can. So maybe I can chime in a little bit more on other things other than AEW. But I definitely appreciate being invited to join you guys, and I've had fun on both shows. So hopefully you'll have me back for a third.
No, without a doubt. But we're not over yet, because like to talk about, we've got a lot of upcoming in 2022, and when I say there's a lot, there is a lot. We've got WWE Day 1, which is going to happen, I don't know what day it's on, but I'm sure it will be around. It's the 1st of January, obviously. We've got Edge versus The Miz here, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Big E, Rollins, Owens, and Bobby Lashley. Jaxie, are you looking forward to Day 1?
Do you know what? A little bit, yeah. So recently I was just kind of catching up with some Raw and just kind of going on the whole sort of discussion with Bobby Lashley and where we've kind of seen him kind of his ups and downs this year. It looks like, or seems to me, now I haven't been watching it, like actually watching the show, I've been just kind of catching up with catch up of it. It seems to me like he might be turning face. So there's a lot of like exciting kind of things coming out of this, and he's just kind of been added to the what was a triple threat, making it now a fatal four-way for the Big E title match. I'm kind of excited to see that and just kind of see all four of these men just go at it. So yeah, looking forward to it actually for once.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's a quite exciting card. It should be good, and it doesn't stop there because then on the 5th of January, it's NXT New Year's Evil. Now, Monty, no matches have been announced, but can we basically say at this point, Ciampa versus Bron Baker for the NXT title will happen there, and what will happen?
Yeah, I'm expecting we're definitely gonna get that rematch, but I think it's gonna be like a stipulation of some sort, ladder match or some type. They probably gonna do this blow off in that type of way, in a way that probably I can predict a star building performance to start off the new year. I mean, it's 2.0. Everyone they've done a great job, in my opinion, of basically letting everyone know that this is not the same NXT. And I think what better way of sending that message than giving it to Bron Breakker, who is one of the shining stars of their new breed in NXT. And I think they obviously have big plans for him. I don't even think he'll be in NXT at that long. They like to rush a lot of these things. So I wouldn't be surprised if he won in January, won the championship, carried it to like maybe before post Mania to the takeover. That'll be with Mania, and then pop up on Raw literally in 22. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened for Bron Breakker because a lot of times, even if he's done rushing it a little bit, it just wouldn't shock me. He's just such a WWE guy. He has the moves set, borrowing not only from Uncle and his dad, but just the raw athleticism and explosiveness in the ring. And he's been, and the stuff that he's been doing with Ciampa has been interesting stuff, I must say. So I wouldn't be surprised. I see nothing but big things in Breakker's future, man.
Yeah, without doubt, it should be fun to see him. We got a little bit of hope. War games as well, gave us a little bit of hope. So hopefully it can deliver. And then January 8th, we have got AEW's The Battle of the Belts. The only match announced so far is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Rio for the AEW Women's Championship match. Gina, are you excited for this event? And what other matches would you want to see added in? Maybe Danielson versus Page?
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to do Danielson versus Page. If not before, then definitely here. That would be really fun to watch. I would love to see Britt and Riho again because I do feel like they've got quite a bit going in terms of Britt having never beat Riho before, and they've kind of built up on that. The fact that Riho wasn't really counted as being eliminated out of the Battle Royal, so I definitely think that they could build on the story and make it a really exciting event to look forward to. There are quite a few matches that definitely will be catching my eye. I'm wondering whether we're going to see more tag action with Andrade and Malachi Black and seeing where they're at when it comes to the pay-per-view. So yeah, I definitely am excited to see more.
Right, will be interesting on the exact same day as Battle of Belts is Impact Hard to Kill, their first pay-per-view of the year. We're going to have Jonah, the former Bronson Reed, versus Josh Alexander, which will be an interesting matchup. Mickey James versus Perazzo 2 in a Texas death match, and Moose versus Cardona versus W. Morrissey. Now, watching Impact recently, the story of Matt Cardona being called even mid-Matt Cardona and trying to get his opportunity. I would love to see him win the world title here, the Impact world title, but I've just got a feeling Josh Alexander is obviously next in line after what Monty called the kind of worst night of Josh Alexander's life that happened down for Glory. Monty, with your limited Impact knowledge, do you think they should give Cardona a chance, or is it all about Josh Alexander?
Yeah, I think the future is definitely Alexander. I think that's who you bet your money on if you Impact. That's who should lead them into the next era of Impact. I think Impact was at its best when they had a guy that Josh Alexander reminds, I think, a lot of us of, and that's Kurt Angle when he's working and he's in the ring. And I think they should lean on that. But, especially, like I say, he has to beat Moose also. It's like you can't have someone do him the way Moose did him that night and then him not get revenge against that guy. So as much as I would like to see Cardona, because I can see them paying that off, and I can see that being a decent story, and I wouldn't even mind it actually for maybe even something temporarily. But at some point, they have to make sure that the focus and they build this up the right way ends up being a Moose and Alexander blow off at some point. I hope they don't do what Impact tends to do, and that's kind of confuse things and overcomplicate. Really, in my opinion, a simple revenge story that they could tell perfectly if they just did it the right way.
Well, and I just realised that on the January 8th, we're going to have an Impact pay-per-view, Battle of Belts, and we're going to have night 3 of Wrestle Kingdom as well. That night will be NJPW versus Pro Wrestling Noah. On the 4th and 5th, we'll have the Wrestle Kingdom 16 shows, which we've got Shingo versus Okada for the IW World Heavyweight Championship even, and the winner of that will face Will Ospreay on the second night, because Will Ospreay has been saying that he is the... Well, what was... I mean, trying to do it layman's turn, Ospreay got... was it injured? And they asked to relinquish his title. He kept hold of it and said he is the undisputed champion. We've obviously had Shingo as champion. Okada is like the John Cena type, I guess, we're getting this year. Can Okada get the job done? Monty, I know we don't want to stick on it too long, but what are your Wrestle Kingdom thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be packed. Like you said, you mentioned day one, and then you mentioned, going into that, and then you have AEW, and then you have Impact. Like the beginning of January, they're immediately trying to work me to death, as you can see. But I cannot wait, honestly, for Wrestle Kingdom. It's always one of the strongest cards. And like you said, even with the Noah group card that they're doing with Noah on the third night, seems like it's going to be a lot of fun moments possible, and just a big deal in Japan with two Japanese wrestling organizations working together in the dome like that. It's just a big moment. And then, like you said, with the story, with Ospreay's the World Championship dilemma, finally, we have at this moment. I know it may sound confusing, but we have 3 people walking around with world championships in New Japan. So finally, it'd be nice to finally put an end to that with no confusion. We finally get an undisputed champion, whether it's Shingo, whether it's Okada, and Will Ospreay. And I honestly don't. I'd really be surprised if Okada does not walk out on top, honestly, because it's been a few years since he has. And since he has kind of walked out and won in these scenarios, it'd just be really surprising to me if he kind of fails, in this scenario again. But we'll see. And I think that's kind of exciting to see what happened. And also, I think with Shingo, who I told you recently carried New Japan on his back, if he just loses on the first night and then automatically goes back to Okada, what happens next with Shingo? And or if Ospreay loses his belt after being the undisputed champion in his mind for so long, what happens next with him in the United Empire? Like I said, it's just a very exciting time in New Japan Pro Wrestling, as January always is. And this is just like every other, even the last 4 or 5 Wrestle Kingdom with that buzz. New Japan is just different around this time of year, and that's because they're throwing everything they can to make 3 of the best cards that they possibly can make at this point. So I'm excited.
Well, if that wasn't enough wrestling, we end the month with the Royal Rumble. And Jackson, the Royal Rumble is actually probably WWE's most exciting time of year. I don't think there's no one that doesn't like a Rumble.
Exactly. I mean, you can actually even go out there and talk to non-wrestling fans who know exactly what the Royal Rumble is and what it's about. You don't need to actually be a wrestling fan to actually enjoy something along the lines of this pay-per-view. And, regardless as to the outcome of whoever it is that wins in the Royal Rumble, you've kind of left having a great time whilst watching it. So it's always going to be exciting at the end of Jan.
Right, and what's going to be exciting as well is that will be the first live show of the Royal Rumble. And Gina, like I said, you're more than welcome. We're going to have, without mini games, we're going to have for the Royal Rumble, who eliminates who, predictions, and also, Jackson, we're talking about stats and stuff that is for the Royal Rumble as well. So the live show should be great. But Gina, the question is there just too much wrestling? Is it just too much? I mean, do they need to just stop it? Or, do we need to select a couple? Can everybody watch everything?
Do you mean just WWE or?
Is there there's
wrestling
too much
in
shit?
general.
Is Impact in New Japan? Like I said, all the stuff we're talking about.
I will admit that I'm gutted that I miss out on great matches from other productions because I don't have enough time to watch all of the different wrestling companies. So I do regret as a fan not having enough time to be able to watch all the different wrestling shows. But I also don't want to say is it too much, because I don't think that we should just have one or two and that's it, because it would just that would definitely feel forced upon,
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like I said, this year for me, I took on too much stuff. I tried Impact. Like I said, AEW, NXT UK is a pleasure to watch, but NXT. Yeah, like I said, every episode of those programs was watched by me this year. I started strong from about September time. So I'm trying to watch everything, but sometimes you just get sick of wrestling some days. You go, oh, I don't want to see another 25-minute classic. Damn you. And I think sometimes that kind of needs to be worked on with a person's schedule.
It is a such thing as burnout.
Yeah.
It's a such thing as burnout,
Exactly.
man. You can get burned out. And it's funny, though, because, we come from we kind of so privileged also, because, you make a good point. When it was just WWE and it wasn't really much alternative out there, wrestling was nowhere near as popular, in my opinion. I definitely didn't have the buzz that it has now, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. We went from hating the fact that we only really had one style of wrestling to get behind, and then slowly but surely, as the years that went by, we have 15 almost now. So yeah, it's just crazy to me how that's happened.
And it's interesting as well, and to go full circle around, is to have a look at, like I said, with burnout. Because when I first started this podcast, let's say May 4th, 2015, the kind of excitement and butterflies that you get where you're not sure what journey you're going to start on, and like I said, the people that have been here a long way, and some people you think were always going to be there. And then obviously things happen in life as they do, even with wrestling or outside it. And to get to this point now, and the last couple of years have been fucking awful. As in, with COVID happening and with everything happening behind for the WNR, like I said, a godsend with Monty and Jaxie to come here. And we've actually at a point now where I'm looking at it and thinking, we've had all the hard work, and now the Avengers can actually assemble. We can look at 2022 and go, right, what do we do now? I think for me, there's so much, and it's not burnout. You'd think doing it for this amount of time, 7 years, I get bored, and I'm probably more excited than I ever have been doing a show. And it's thanks to you two, and of course you, Gina, as well. Let's not forget.
It's a very special guest.
Yeah.
All that mushiness.
So
you really you like us. You really like us.
It has been a journey, though, it has.
It's probably the right word.
It has been a journey. We talk about, could be changes for the WNR in the new year. Because I know, guys, we do too much sometimes, so we'll have to have a look at that and work out whether we maybe end Prelude for now. I definitely want to keep Monty working with NXT and NXT UK. I think if he's not doing 4 or 5 shows a month, I'm not working him hard enough. I mean,
no
Jaxie,
regard
I don't
for
mind
my
reducing
time
your
whatsoever.
schedule. Jax, I don't mind reducing. If you want to, just WWE special events and AEW stuff, that's cool. But Monty will be 5 shows. That's...
Oh, wait, are you trying to get rid of me, though? What?
See, he needs me.
You not
he
like my
really needs
opinion?
me.
Now, we'll have a look.
I don't know whether or not I should take this as a compliment.
Always as a compliment. You see, we won't get bored of each other, unlike maybe other people on the show. I'm not saying anything, Monty. Like I said, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, I'm sick of you.
See, past the pleasantries now, and that's the exciting thing, and that's what we're going to look at in the next 12 months as well. At a position where look at wrestling. Let's look back at 2021 as we did last year from when we are, and the improvements of such. I mean, there's only one thing that hasn't improved, and that, of course, was NXT. But there is hope. Monty, there is hope for 2.0, isn't there?
Yes, maybe we are just drunk off a really good show because they actually put on a really good show for a change. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we get more of what we like and less of what we hate. I don't know how long it's gonna take for it to perfect itself, but maybe over the next year we'll finally see 2.0 coming to its own.
Yeah,
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
yeah, the worst happens. What can AEW do to drop the ball in the next year? What would really piss you off, apart from obviously firing Ricky Starks? That would.
Yeah, they better not do that. That's for sure. I don't know. Unless they do something dramatic like break the Dark Order up, I think that would break a lot of people's hearts. But I don't know. I think like another thing that would wow everybody is getting a actual leader for the Dark Order as well, because I know that people are still discussing that. So I'll be interested to see which way it goes.
Yeah, it's interesting times ahead for AEW, you know, especially where we'll see where CM Punk and Bryan Danielson is at the end of the year. And even with WWE, I mean, Jaxie, do they need an end game with Roman Reigns? Do they need to have a McIntyre or someone in place to dethrone him? Or should it be Brock Lesnar?
Oh no, definitely. I as much as I actually really am enjoying this character of Brock Lesnar, they need to have like the ultimate babyface, someone that they're really trying to like build, someone fresh, someone new to come and take that belt from Roman in order to really fully put them over. You know, we've seen this countless times in previous years with WWE where they tease bringing on a fresh new babyface. Perfect examples are Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali, and then Vince drops the ball halfway through. We need to kind of see a consistent build, the kind of storyline that takes over a year maybe to even build, and that is exactly what they did with Hangman Page and his redemption arc. They kind of need to adopt to that sort of way of thinking when it comes to whoever they have in mind to dethroning Roman Reigns. They've done a lot to build up this character, and my tribal chief has done well. So you really do need to have someone who's likable, who's winning the fans over, and who is probably going to be able to try and at least win part of me over. Otherwise, Vince will never hear it down if just some nomad just comes and takes it off of Roman Reigns with no like ultimate storyline, and it's just cause. So it needs to be epic.
Like I said, and hopefully 2022 will be epic. Like I said, after doing it for this amount of time. And I mean, you guys are all kind of old to the business now, because you'll be saying, I remember the WNR used to be in 300s. See, we're starting afresh when it comes to WNR400, 400 WNRs down. There is so much we haven't got to today, which we'll either use again for other shows. And like I said, all the people with the emails that I didn't get to as well, thank you very much. Like I said, without you, it is just a sad man talking to a mic. And it built from there. Now look at us, you know, a whole team behind us and all these people here enjoying it. So I'll ask every single one of you, you can tell me you lie or not. Monty, did you enjoy the WNR400, and did it live up to the greatest show of all time?
Yes, I definitely enjoyed it. It was a nice, scroll down memory lane, but also fun, testing out people's reaction, that by the way, that game is literally all about how to press people's buttons, and I don't know if we need to keep doing that. Now that I think about it. But anyway, it was fun. It's still fun, so at the end of the day. And yeah, this is all cool, it's cool to be a part of something like this, 400 episodes. Like I said, man, what a hell of an achievement, and to be a part of it, to, like you said, now be in the 400 after doing so many episodes in the 300s, and just all the stuff that we have seen together, and all the stuff that we're gonna be seeing going forward. Like, oh man, I'm just excited to keep this going. And yeah, man, this is all fun. And in my opinion, it definitely lived up to it. But I'm also involved, so I'm very, very biased. But I think this was definitely the greatest podcast of all time.
Jaxie, what do you think? Do you think it takes the award?
I mean, I think it's a very strong contender for taking that award. I mean, again, just like Monty said, we are very biased when we're on it. But I mean, I do feel like having my sister on here is a nice little advantage as well. So I think this made it extra special.
Well, it is always extra special to have Gina on. Gina, have you found it? Is it the greatest podcast you've ever been involved in?
Oh, for sure. This is definitely my favorite podcast. It's definitely the best episode as well. Not just because I'm on it, but I've had so much fun. And I feel like I've learned a lot from you guys again, even though it's like my second podcast with you guys. I feel like I learned a lot from being involved. And yeah, I just appreciate being included with the team.
All right, Dan, you'll be coming back for you up for the Royal Rumble live show as well?
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Don't sound too excited. We're all, like I said, and bring you so much in the new year. Of course, our first show will be, well, the day one, and that will be with Jackson, of course, with everything else that we've got coming up as well. So 400 WNR downs, and that's it for today. Don't forget, across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
At Monty Pod on Twitter. Click my link tree in the bio. You can listen to my latest podcast, everything that I'm doing, and check out my blog site. So, yeah, I'm working hard. Next year is going to be my year. I got a lot more stuff planned. I got a lot more content and a lot more ideas that I'm ready to put on display. And next year, like you said, not only with this podcast, but with my own stuff, I am ready to put my best foot forward and have a little fun. So, I can't wait, and yeah, check me out.
Jackson, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me. You know where, it's at Jaxie Scarlett on Instagram and Twitter.
And Gina, are you interested in people knowing where they can get your information?
Yeah, that's fine with me. My Twitter is Purple Pain with an E on the end. And my Instagram is purplerain1089. I'm
at the WNRJR, and I've had a lot of emails if I'm at Lee WNRJR or I'm at WNRJR. I'm at WNRJR, but I say I'm at the WNRJR. If I say WNRJR again, I think I've said it too many times. Anyway, WNR also on Facebook and Instagram, across all the Google platforms. Send us an email, the WNR Podcast at gmail.com, and YouTube and WNR Podcast with the latest clips. Podcast at the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Like I said, our next episode is day one with Jaxie. But until then, I have been James Rowlands for the 400th show. I was joined by Monty, by Jaxie, and of course by Gina. Thanks you guys, and thanks everyone for listening. Goodbye.
Adios.
Bye. Bye.